Lesson 35, Angles in Polygons, Inscribed Quadrilaterals, and Fractional Exponents. This is a very simple lesson, but it has 3 different things that we have to learn. So the first thing that we have to remember is that the sum of the interior angles of any polygon is found by multiplying 180 times the number of sides minus 2. So for example, if we have a pentagon has 5 sides. So the number of sides, or n, is 5. So what we're going to do is multiply 180 times 5 minus 2, which is 3. And 180 times 3 is 540. Now, the sum of the exterior angles of any polygon is 360. Always. There's no formula. It's just 360. So a pentagon has a sum of exterior angles that is 360. A heptagon, a decagon. The sum of the exterior angles of any polygon is always going to be 360. So that's very easy. So memorize this formula and the fact that it's 360. And that's it. Now in example 35.1, we have to apply what we just learned. We're going to first look at the exterior angles. Notice that we have the x, then the 65, and all of them. We'll just write them here. And again, we just learned that the sum of all those angles is 360. So I can make the equation and say they are 360. Now we simplify that by adding like terms. Then we pass the 240 to subtract and the 2 to divide. So the answer is that x equals 60. So again, notice how we used something that we know about geometry, and we create an algebraic expression or an algebraic equation to solve it. Now to find the y, we have to first find this one. So it's going to be 60 plus 55, which is 115. These are supplementary angles. So y is going to be 180 minus 115, and that's it. Now the second part of the lesson is about inscribed quadrilaterals. And what those are quadrilaterals that have all 4 vertices on the circumference. And what we should know about these is that the 2 opposite angles are going to add 180. So 75 plus y equals 180. But also x plus 80. So x plus 80 equals 180. So then it's easy to find what is y. Y is 180 minus 75, which is 105. And then x equals 100. And that's our answer. Very, very simple. Now, how do we find z? Well, for that is a different thing. And I'm going to use this different color just so that we see what's happening. Remember that we have learned that if we have inscribed angle, like that 80, this is inscribed, then this part here, this whole arc, is going to be double what that angle is. So in that case, since this is 80, this is going to be 160, double 80. Now, since all of that is 160, and I know this is 50, then z is going to be 160 minus 50. And so z is 110. And that's it. Finally, the fractional exponents. What we have to remember is that in a fraction, the numerator is going to be the exponent here. And then the denominator is going to be the index here. So let's look at this one. The first thing we're going to do is get rid of the negative exponent. So now we have 1/4 to the positive 1/2. Now we want to get rid of the fraction. So we're going to write it as a square root. Now notice that 2 is here. We don't write it because we don't write the square root, but that's what it is. So the square root of 1/4 is 1/2. And that's our answer. Now in this case, we're going to do the same. We have a negative exponent, so we're going to get rid of that first by writing the reciprocal of 27. Now we want to get rid of the fraction, so we're going to keep the negative on the outside. We're going to put the index as our denominator, and then the 1 over 27 inside. Now we find the cubic root of 1/27, which is 1/3, and the negative stays for the answer. And that's it. Pretty simple. Now let's look at these examples that have a numerator different than 1. We're going to write the 2 here, which again, we don't write it, but that's where it is, and then the 3 on the outside. We usually simplify first, so the square root of 16 is 4, and then we have 4 to the third power. And 4 to the third power is 64. And that's our answer. Do you see how simple it is? These 2 goes to the index, the 3 goes to the exponent, the 16, the base stays the same. Then we simplify the square root of 16, and then we do the exponent 3, which is then the answer 64. Let's look at the last one. That negative is going to give me the reciprocal of 8, which is 1/8. Now the negative stays out, and I'm going to do the radical. The index is the denominator, and the exponent is the 2. Now we find the cubic root of 1/8, and that is 1/2, which again is to the second power. Now notice that there's no parentheses, so the negative is on the outside until the end. So 1/2 squared is 1/4 with the negative in front. And that is the answer. Now this is very simple, but it has a lot of little details. I would recommend you watch it again and make sure that you really understand everything we did here. And that's it. I hope you understood. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll see you in the next video.